You're very welcome along to the Matchbook NFL podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Hussey. It's week 13, but more importantly, for listeners and viewers, it's Thanksgiving football. So we have 3 bonus games on Thursday and also a bonus Friday evening game for UK and Irish viewers. I mean, Judah, before we maybe touch on takeaways, we're truly blessed this time of year. But I do personally think, as someone who looked at the Thanksgiving slate there last week, that's quite decent, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we are truly blessed. We got 4 island games. Midweek it's hard to in America for sure. We've got just the perfect football weather. It's the perfect storm. Yeah, as you said, the past couple of years it feels like it's been a bunch of 10-point favorite games, especially that Cowboys slot. So we've got like a pretty key divisional battle. To start us off, Packers Lions, and then obviously Chiefs Cowboys, like both teams kind of fighting for their playoff lives, in addition to being a 3.5-point spread. And then even Bengals Ravens is I think a bit intriguing in a couple other ways. And then of course I think Bears Eagles a sneaky. I mean, we'll talk about it, but a sneaky interesting spot. Playoff implications though across the board, which is pretty rare.
Yeah, I live with a Bengals fan. It is the return of Joe Burrow. So there's so many storylines, of course. Brad, I'm just so you've been betting on the NFL a long time, living over here. Thanksgiving football that comes around a lot. I mean, for us, it doesn't mean anything bar. There's extra football on, but what does it mean to you?
I love it. I love Thanksgiving Day. Normally it starts at like 5 or 5:30 here, doesn't it? On a Thursday, and then you get the chance to watch football till you fall asleep. Basically, I've always worked for American companies as well, so always had the days off and the next day off to watch some football. So one of my favourite days of the year, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, even the Sky Sports coverage, early Sky Sports coverage of Thanksgiving football was great for me anyway, personally getting into the sport. A little bit of takeaways from the weekend. Brad, you want to touch on a couple of things? Cam Ward might be good, / are the Patriots might still be bad? Did we learn anything from last week based on that? So those 2 topics, please.
I'm even more convinced we can rule out the Patriots as long-term sort of Super Bowl winners. I mean, what was it? The entire left side of the offensive line is banged up, or definitely at least out for this week against the Giants. And yeah, they obviously weren't convincing against the Bengals, were they? And maybe we'll talk a little bit about the Bengals later in that one. And then the other one, I was watching Cam Ward back, the Seahawks-Titans game, and he just looks very, very developed, like very calm. That apparently they told him to run more, so he's looking a lot more mobile, like looking to run and then throwing, drawing the defenders in. And I think going forward and next year they're going to be a team to back personally.
Okay, and yeah, Judah, do we sell all our Patriots futures then if people got on board from your case and you won the argument last week, or what do we do?
I'm not, in the short term, I think there are some problems as Brad outlined, but no, I'm not. I'm not still selling the kind of futures position from earlier. This is still a team that I think's got a really, really good shot at being the number 1 seed, which is so valuable in the playoffs since they changed the seeding a couple of years back. Definitely kind of some injury issues in the short term, but when this team's fully healthy, I think they can still win it all.
Okay. Yeah, we will kick on to the football. Before we get going, insights.matchable.com, full recap of all the guys' picks will be up later today. We are recording this the day before Thanksgiving on the Wednesday. And if you take 2 seconds to hit that like button, follow or subscribe wherever you're watching, or obviously a lot of people listening on the podcast, basically take 2 seconds. If you can follow, subscribe, makes a massive difference and helps the content we have here get out to a wider audience. The 4 games, incidentally, we're going to run this a little bit game by game, just given how good the games are overall this week. Packers at Lions, Chiefs at Cowboys, Bengals at Ravens, Bears at Eagles, any Sunday bets, long shots, and best bets. So let's start with the Packers at the Lions. Jamar Gibbs, Judah, I mean, he's saving my fantasy season big time. I think he nearly had half my points of the rest of the team put together. It was a sensational performance last week.
Unbelievable. I mean, the Giants' run defense is historically bad. But Gibbs has been doing it all season. I think the kind of name of the game here is injuries. And you have a Detroit team that's finally getting healthier. DJ Reed came back. And for a team that plays as much man coverage as the Lions do, not that it seemed to make a huge difference with Jameis Winston throwing all over them last week. But we can kind of take one data point and not extrapolate that the entire way. But I think it's possible to get Marcus Davenport back at edge. This is a Detroit team that's getting much healthier. And on the flip side, Jordan Love is playing through an injury. He's talked about it. Coincidentally, possibly the same one that Baker Mayfield might be playing through. And he has just not been the same quarterback here. And I'm not sold on both the Packers' willingness to throw the ball, which they have not done in recent weeks, nor necessarily the efficiency of it. I do think this is like a tough defense. The Lions themselves are dealing with kind of an offensive line that has not been as good as years past. And Mike Parsons can blow up any game. That's for sure. But it's not the strongest of positions. I just think accounting for the fact that Jordan Love is playing hurt, this is a Packers team that has shifted their offensive philosophy to be a lot more run heavy, which is not the approach, I think, to win against the Lions. And you add on just the Lions still have especially at home, a very consistent ability to move the ball. I think they'll be able to score points. I'm less certain that the Packers will be able to match them.
Okay, it's a lean from Judah on the Lions. What approach are you taking here, Brad? And some of those points that Judah made, do you agree?
Yes. Yeah, I did bet the under here, under 49. So I agree on the Packers, obviously the Love injury, healthier Lions defense, as Judah was saying. And then, still injuries for the Packers with Tucker Kraft out in the center, Elton Jenkins out. But I'm not convinced the Lions are going to score that many points either. So we had the over against the Giants, didn't we? Over 50 or whatever it was, which we gave out, I think, on this podcast. And part of that was Goff back indoors, back at home. But I thought he looked a mess again, to be honest. And I think it's the offensive line. They gave up 3 sacks, 13 pressures, and 3 more quarterback hits last week to the Giants. So the Giants' D-line is good, but the back end is a mess. But it didn't really, like, the Lions were giving up so much pressure, and Goff is so bad under pressure that the back end didn't really matter. So obviously now you bring in Micah Parsons and the rest of this Packers D-line, and they will line them up over wherever they want, over the interior. So it's I think it's the interior of the Lions' offensive line which is the problem. Tackles are still good, but the left guard is like 70th in PFF grade among guards at pass blocking. The center has been missing practice all week, and his backup is like an undrafted free agent who has played like 20 snaps against Washington and got like a 1 PFF grade. So if he's out, I think it's going to be bad. Since week 4, Detroit is 18th in success rate on offense. So they survived last week by ripping off these huge runs, which just is not the sustainable way to win week to week, even if you've got Jahmyr Gibbs. So I think we can kind of expect both teams to be a little bit below their usual offensive output, and this is I feel this number's based on like the Lions' history, but based on the state of the offensive line, this is not who the Lions are currently. So under 49.
Okay, under 49 locked in, and a lean on the handicap for Judah on the Lions at 188 at the time of recording. Moving on to Chiefs at Cowboys. Might start with you again, Judah. Strong betting opinion, but set this game up for Brad here.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is a Cowboys offense. I think we really saw it last week against the Eagles defense that was surging. Like, they can move the ball on anyone. It's a Chiefs defense that's like top 5 in kind of like defensive series success rate. They're like playing decently well. It's a Chiefs offense that is number 1 at moving the sticks in their series conversion, and kind of choose your efficiency stat. They'll be at the top. I think this is a Cowboys defense though that is getting a lot better. And the market is still underpricing them. I mean, we also saw this last week. A team that did not allow any points the last basically 3/4 of the game. So I do think that the market has this one fairly appropriately priced. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Both very, very capable offenses, and just in general, when we talk about Patrick Mahomes, I think he kind of breaks a lot of the. I talk about statistics very often. And he kind of breaks the norm of what is generally true because he's a quarterback who has had such a consistent track record of success, especially when his team needs it most. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it's a function of the skills that are rewarded in these kind of do or die situations where the nature of the game changes a little bit. And Mahomes is well suited based on his ability to create. And I think that kind of is true on the micro level and the drive level and also the macro level, just in games he absolutely has to win, which I think this falls firmly into the category of. But there are many competing factors here. The Cowboys are a really good team in my view, especially as this defense gets healthier and improves. Definitely a game I'm fascinated and stoked to watch, but not one that I have any view different than the market.
Okay, both of you guys were bigging up the Cowboys early on in the season. Fell by the wayside, seemed to have got a second win. So it's not that we were wrong, Brad. Maybe you guys were a tad early on that. They've seemed to have got their act together. Massive win last week, as Judah said. But you'd also mentioned Mahomes, big games. We can't go against Mahomes in big games, even now in a game they really need to win.
Yeah, we can go against Mahomes. We're getting 3.5. Yeah, so we weren't wrong. We were just early. Well, and Jerry Jones has helped us out on the Cowboys because he did make some big additions. Quinnen Williams, obviously, a sort of top 10, top 15 defender. Possibly doesn't have that reputation nowadays, but solidified the run defense. What did they hold? Saquon Barkley to like 22 yards last week. But it's not just Quinnen Williams. They got Demarion Overshawn, linebacker, back from injury. Got two safeties, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, back from injury. The corners were banged up earlier in the season. They're healthier now. So I know this is something Judah talks about, is using the unpredictable ratings, which basically they work out how the market is viewing units, teams based on previous lines, look ahead lines, current lines. And this says that, so basically I think the offenses are both top 5. The Chiefs maybe slightly better, but they're both elite offenses. And I think the reason there's value here is because the Cowboys is based on the defenses. I think so. The Cowboys have reinforced their defense, but they're still being priced like the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL per unpredictable. And they also say that Kansas City is being priced like the 6th best defense in the NFL. So I feel like, just given the reasons why the Dallas ranking is wrong, because it's like half the team is different now, and they played well the last 2 weeks. I think we can assume even mid-pack, then we're still making them a lot better than the 32nd ranked. Now KC, I don't think this is the 6th best defense either. If you filter out garbage time, Kansas City defense 22nd in rush success rate allowed, 24th against the pass. Obviously they just played well against the Colts. But A, that was at home, outdoors, and B, that was against Daniel Jones, quite limited. I think we spoke about the under in that game as well. Because if you stop the run against the Colts and force Daniel Jones to be, you can't do it. This Cowboys offense is a entirely different proposition. So for me, these teams aren't that different. The Chiefs are probably slightly better, but you can get Dallas plus 3.5, like 1.89, 1.88. And I just think that's too many points. If you called it 3, I wouldn't bet it. I would need the 3.5. But yeah, I just think the Dallas is slightly underrated just because of what they've done on defense recently.
Okay, obviously a massive half point there, so take the plus 3.5, even if it goes to 3, which it is at the moment. But you can still, as Brad said, get in the mid 1.8s on Cowboys plus 3.5. Hosting the Chiefs, and interesting on some of those defense stats based on perhaps a different defense over the last few weeks. Bengals at Ravens, Brad. We'll start with you, and then I'll let Judah come in as well. A lot of talk of Joe Burrow. Some Bengals fans want him to wait till next year. They have no chance to the playoffs. I looked up the Super Bowl price for the crack, 580.0. It's got to start by beating the Ravens back to back, or 2 and 3 weeks, and then obviously probably win every game to make the playoffs.
Yes. So that maybe Burrow has come back too quick, because I think when he did that turf toe injury, it was grade 3, like the most severe, and the initial timeline was 3 months or so, and he's coming back, I think, closer to 10 weeks, so a couple of weeks ahead of schedule. So I think it's fair to have questions about his effectiveness. We've just seen Brock Purdy come back from a less severe version of his injury, obviously just through three interceptions Monday night. Was bad-ish the week before against a non-existent Arizona Cardinals team. So I think it's fair to have questions about how effective Burrow is going to be, given like 2 months out the game, or 10 weeks out the game. Wasn't fit to play Sunday, but is now fit Thursday. I guess I would be surprised if he was 100%. But also the quarterback on the other side of this game is also incredibly banged up. Lamar missed practice again earlier this week. Now, I think a toe injury. So in the last couple of weeks, he's missed practice with, it was the hamstring initially that forced him out of games. Then he had a knee. Now he's got a toe. And the Ravens' offense has not been good. This is the first time in Lamar's career he's gone 3 consecutive games with under 200 passing yards, under a 60% completion rate. He's run for like 20 yards a game recently. This Jets game, the Ravens won that game 17-16 on the adjusted scores. They rank 18th in success rate during the last 4 weeks. Like, this is not a good offense at the minute. Derrick Henry's like slowest that he's ever been in his career based on the tracking chip and his speed. So I quite like under 52 here. Like, we have 2 quarterbacks which may be immobile, may not be able to move that well, and the total, obviously in the 50s, which outdoors in the NFL nowadays is very, very high. Obviously, the concern here is this Bengals defense, but if we assume that some percent of defense is effort, 30-40%. They're going to be full effort here. Joe Burrow's back, primetime game on Thanksgiving. They will be flying around, and hopefully what they lack in talent, they can give us in effort against, as I say, like a severely diminished Lamar Jackson. So under 52.
Okay, under 52, 191, and yeah, the quarterbacks angles alone would suggest not the worst case in the world, Judah, but you're leaning towards the Bengals rather than going for the total here.
Yeah, it's a pretty similar kind of position to Brad, and I agree with most of his points. Lamar Jackson, even outside of the injuries, because of the injuries, I should say, is having his worst year by basically any category. His sack rate is nearly like 4% higher than it's been in any previous season. He's got his worst PFF grade, his worst EPA per play. His accuracy rate is the lowest it's ever been. He's scrambling far less. Also, in the second half of the season, his scramble rate has kind of been cut down. And scrambles, I don't just mean every time he crosses the line of scrimmage, but each time he begins the process of scrambling. And I think he's obviously, we can see that all watching Lamar Jackson, but it's backed up in the data as well. A very different player when he's not scrambling and not scrambling as effectively. And with that, I think there's such a strong prior built in on how good this Ravens team is that I'm really selling them. And that game against the Jets was really a lot closer than the final score suggests. I mean, Breece Hall fumbled on the 1 yard line with 6 minutes left to what would have made it a 3-point game. But yeah, I'm selling the Ravens here. The Cincinnati defense absolutely does scare me, and being wrong on the tail side here, and it would not shock me for the Ravens to blow them out as well if they find their kind of rhythm against this Bengals team. But totally agree with Brad also on the Burrow injury. Like, we should not expect him to be fully back day one, but I can't get past how the market's pricing the Ravens given their actual production from this offense.
Okay, yeah, good. It could be interesting. Obviously, we had the classic last year with the Bengals Ravens in the regular season, so 2 and 3 weeks. And if it'll be interesting to see if Joe Burrow has been rushed back. Bears at Eagles. Jude, I have to go with you because you bigged this up at the start that you sneakily think Bears are taking the points here. It's currently 194, and you're getting +7.
Yeah, I mean, the +7 obviously is the biggest factor here. This is not a Philadelphia team that I think can run the ball. I mean, like, we're now week in and week out of this offense having bottom percentile success rates running the football. On the flip side, the Bears basically haven't been below average in any week in the last 12, which just gives you such a high floor of success. But you look at some of the injuries that Philly's dealing with. I still think Lane Johnson's going to be out for this one, and the drop off from Lane Johnson to Fred Johnson is just so massive. We're talking about a guy who's perennially top 3 in your PFF pass block rate or successful blocking, whatever metric you want to look at, to Fred Johnson, who is in the 50s PFF grade, and that is just a massive weak link for a quarterback who's pretty sensitive to pressure. What was interesting also is that the Cowboys last week came out in a ton of man coverage looks, which is Jalen Hurts has some of the widest splits, man coverage versus zone coverage, and he was having a ton of success early on. I think this is a Bears team that's going to play a lot of zone, where the Eagles have struggled on offense. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as effectively. And yes, this is not a good Bears defense by any stretch, but if the Eagles are putting themselves in a lot of kind of favorable, obvious passing situations, any defense, especially with a banged up offensive line, for a quarterback who holds onto the ball for too long, can lead into some problems. And on the flip side of the ball, I don't think this is impenetrable Eagles defense. We just saw Dak Prescott have plenty of success, and I think the ability for Chicago to run the ball really elevates the base rate of success. I think they'll be able to score some points. I don't think they're going to put up 30 points again, but this is an offense that I think should have some success, and I cannot get to 7. Given the Eagles' injuries and the just complete ineffectiveness of this run game.
Okay, that's +7, 194. Brad, you're playing the under. I'm guessing you've got question marks over some of that Bears offense.
Yes, well, question marks over both offenses. And the game environment, we're looking at 16 mile an hour winds outdoors to start with. So small impact, a couple of percent to throwing. As Judah says, no Lane Johnson is an issue. And they've not been able to run the ball. They might be able to run the ball, the Eagles here, given how soft the Bears are. But Bears also get a couple of defensive backs back, or they've been practicing at least, so they probably will be back. Jalen Johnson and Tyler Gordon should be back. Also, note Devontae Smith at practice this week for the Eagles, so they could just be down to AJ Brown. The reason I stayed away from the side is these schedules for these two. The Bears have the second easiest schedule, or have played the second easiest schedule in the NFL this year. And you look at their games, it's Bengals, Giants, Saints, Commanders, Raiders. It's bad. And the last decent team they played was the Lamar Jackson-less Ravens. I think who was the quarterback there? It was the ginger fella. I can't remember his name. And they lost by 14 at the Ravens, and we've just kind of spoken how broken they are. So it is a massive step up in class. Eagles have had the third hardest schedule, so they've been playing, the likes of the Chiefs and the Cowboys. So that's kind of the hidden thing I'll be worried about slightly. But yeah, it'd be bold to be laying 7 with this Eagles offense at the minute. So small bet under, not a huge one, and it's mainly weather and injury based.
Okay, under 45 is 188. So that concludes our Thursday and Friday games. Moving on to long shots, and we wanted to mention Sunday bets as well. Judah, you have one, and it is going against your Patriots. I guess what Brad said at the start of the show about some of those injuries, short term maybe is the chance to fade the Patriots and get back. And if we are going to fade the Patriots like you always do, why not take them on the tails?
Yeah, no, I think this is a pure tails play, which is okay. As Brad mentioned, this is an offensive line dealing with major injuries against a Giants defensive line that I think has been underperforming relative to the talent that the team actually has. And I think, firing Shane Bowen, their defensive coordinator, perhaps can kind of change some things on the defensive line. But there's too much talent to not have more of the weeks they had, similar to last week, of generating a ton of pressure. And I think May has been so good, in particular in 2 areas. It's in structure and throwing deep. He has generated so much of his positive play from his DPPA is among the best we've seen, at least in my database. It's among the best we have, and to some extent it was even better before, and this regression is kind of baked in. But that's not something that is going to be as easy when you don't have good pass protection, because obviously it is. Those deep passes are oftentimes happening kind of as you get perfect blocking and as you have more time to throw, which I anticipate is going to be a struggle for the Patriots, and the offense can kind of fizzle out a bit with that. And on the other side of the ball, the Patriots defense has not been particularly great. I think they're in the category of good enough for an elite offense to overcome, but not one that is going to kind of slow any opponent down more than kind of their baseline rate of success. And we've seen the Giants tails play, which is exactly what happened last week. I anticipate Jackson Dart's going to come back. There's some question marks, I think, surrounding the overall effectiveness of this team with him back both first week off from a concussion, though he's had plenty of time to recover, and I anticipate he'll be running less, which is going to kind of hide, I think, some of the offensive success that they had will be somewhat mitigated now. But with all of that said, it's still I think an upgrade at quarterback, as fun as Jameis Winston is. Jackson Dart has been terrific, and his sack evasion for sure has been great. And it's a defense that you can take advantage of. If the deep balls are not hitting for the Patriots, if the Giants are generating a lot of pressure, causing Drake May does have a sack problem. That's the Achilles heel. You get a couple of those, you end up in a positive game script. I don't think that a Giants money line is too far out of the question, and obviously the market is pricing that as a very, very unlikely outcome here.
Okay, yeah, 4.2 Giants. Going back even a couple of years, love the underdog title and winning these games just when you think they can't. Your long shot, Brad, comes with the Chiefs at Cowboys on Thanksgiving Thursday. We're going for Jake Ferguson anytime, touchdown the tight end, and Cowboys plus 3.5. Ferguson, I thought he was a talent lucky not to get one there last week, but in general has been very efficient at getting a lot of touchdowns this year.
Yes, so we spoke about the Dallas angle here, and then throwing in Ferguson, he's second in the NFL among tight ends in red zone targets, 18 now for the season, and the Matchbook Bet Builder happens to have a very nice price on him, so fairly straightforward.
Okay, so we'll lock that in alongside the Cowboys plus 3.5, and you get currently the price on that is, I think it is 5.25. And we'll move on to best bets. And Brad, just reading the two Ravens Bengals regular season games last year and their scores. So 35-34 to Ravens, that's 69 points, and then 41-38 to Ravens, that's 79 points. You're going for the under 52.5 this time around.
Yeah. That might be one of the reasons we have value, right?
Yeah, true.
When people have that image of the matchup in their head. But as discussed, like Lamar was basically the league MVP last year. The offensive line was mauling people. Derrick Henry was sprightly, and Joe Burrow was healthy. He had T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. But none of these things are true currently. And if everyone is healthy, maybe this line should be 52.5. But there's just so many reasons that is not true that I think we have potentially massive value. I quite like the alt unders here. If Burrow can't move, if he is just off, under 42.5, I feel like might be a nice angle as well.
Yeah, nicely said. Even if it felt Lamar and Burrow right at their peak last year around that time, those two games, particularly that November game, remembering some of the touchdowns there. Judah, best bet time comes Seahawks, so they're hosting the Vikings minus 10.5. So it's a huge number to cover if we were looking at this at the start of the season. But you think they're more than worthy in this slot, given probably the mess the Vikings are in, but also the Seahawks are moving quite well.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can think of a worse time to have your first start for Max Brosmer than going into Seattle. We're talking about an undrafted rookie in his first game. Rookies in general tend to struggle. They really tend to struggle in their first game. And if they all played the Seahawks defense in Seattle, I think they would have a really, really low base rate of success. And I think when you're talking about real points here, right, because the spread is both a reflection of fundamental value from team to team, but also you don't cover the spread without actually scoring the points in the games. And this is a Seattle offense that has been able to score against basically everyone. It's a Vikings defense. I've been talking about this for weeks now, that I'm really, really selling. The pass defense in particular has not been good over the last 6 weeks of the season. They're bottom 5 in kind of most pass efficiency metrics. I have no doubt that Seattle will be able to score. And then we're talking about possible, similar to what the Packers did to the Vikings last week, of a Vikings team that's not able to get to 10 points. This is a dominant Seattle defense. We obviously don't have much data on Brosmer, but we just have to, have such a low rate of success. And I think when you're pricing these things, you tend to account for league averages because you don't have much data, and regressing towards the means here. But I think we should come in with a very strong prior that this Minnesota offense is really going to struggle and be one of the worst in the league. And I'm just not worried about the Seahawks covering points when I'd be, pretty surprised if the Vikings can get to 2 touchdowns.
Okay, Judah doesn't often take the big obstacles, the 10.5s and above the double figures, laying those points. So maybe take that as a tip in itself. My thanks to Judah and Brad. Guys, enjoy Thanksgiving football. As Judah always says, we are truly blessed, and even that 8 o'clock slot on Black Friday is quite good for us. And then we roll into Sunday. Hope you enjoyed the Matchbook NFL podcast. If you take 2 seconds, hit that like button, and do check out insights.matchbook.com if you want a recap of all the bets that were put up here. But enjoy this tomorrow's football and the weekend's football, and we'll chat to you next week. Bye bye.